Let me say something that sounds wrong, but you need to hear it. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, investing might be the reason you're still stuck. Not because investing is bad, not because you're doing it wrong, but because investing, the way most people do it, doesn't solve the problem you're actually trapped in. And that's why so many people are investing every month, following good advice, staying disciplined for years, and still feel one emergency away from collapse. If that sounds uncomfortable, good. Because once you see this, you can't unsee it. Chapter 1. The belief that traps smart people. Most people believe this. If I invest consistently, I'll eventually escape paycheck to paycheck. So they do everything they're told. They save. They invest in index funds for 8 to 10% average. They buy stocks or crypto. And they think long term. On paper, they're doing the right thing. But in real life, their salary is still paying for survival. Rent, food, bills, insurance. And investing becomes something they do on the side with whatever is left over. Here's the problem nobody explains. Paycheck to paycheck is not a wealth problem, it's a cash flow dependency problem. And investing by itself doesn't break dependency. Chapter 2. Why investing feels like progress, but isn't freedom. Let's be honest, investing feels empowering. You feel responsible, forward thinking, and smarter than before. Your portfolio grows, your net worth goes up. You feel like you're building something. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You can have a growing portfolio and still be financially fragile. Why? Because most investments don't pay your bills, don't replace your salary, and don't protect you from income loss. If you still need your paycheck to survive, then you're not free. You're just better educated inside the same cage. That's why people with $50,000 invested, $100,000 invested, even $300,000 invested can still feel trapped because nothing changed structurally. Chapter 3. The Growth Investing Trap. Now let's talk about the most dangerous part. Once people realize salary alone won't save them, they chase growth. 20% returns, 50% upside, 100% gains. Because when you're trapped, you don't want slow progress. You want escape velocity. So you invest in volatile stocks, crypto, opportunities, and things that promise speed. But here's the brutal reality. Problem number 1. Volatility plus no cash flow equals panic. When you're paycheck to paycheck, volatility doesn't feel like market cycles. It feels like danger, stress, and loss of control. And when life hits, car breaks down, medical bill, job pressure, you don't sell when it's smart. You sell when you need cash. And often, you sell at the bottom. That's how people lock in losses and swear off investing forever. Problem number 2. Liquidity under pressure. Growth assets only work if you can hold. But holding requires time, patience, and cash flow. Without cash flow, you're always forced to liquidate at the worst moment. That's not an intelligence issue. That's a structure issue. Chapter 4. Why investing doesn't end paycheck to paycheck. Here's where most advice quietly breaks. The most common solution people are told is simple. Work, invest, and let compounding save you. And on paper, this looks responsible. But look at the structure carefully. In this model, investing only works because you keep working. Your portfolio grows because your salary keeps feeding it. Your plan survives only as long as your paycheck exists, which means technically you're still living paycheck to paycheck, just a more patient version of it. Here's the core truth most people never hear. Investing grows wealth, but cash flow removes dependency. Most people invest hoping it will eventually save them. But until an asset produces monthly income, your life still depends on your job. That's why investing so often coexists with paycheck stress instead of eliminating it. Because nothing about your day-to-day survival has changed. Your bills still need salary. Your rent still needs salary. Your life still pauses if income pauses. So what's actually happening? You're trying to solve a cash flow problem with a price appreciation strategy. And that mismatch is what keeps people stuck for decades. This is why you see people who invest for years do everything right and still feel trapped. Because the advice assumes steady markets, perfect discipline, and uninterrupted income. But real life doesn't move in straight lines. Jobs end, costs spike, burnout happens, emergencies arrive without warning, and the moment salary is threatened, fear enters, and fear changes behavior. That's why you need to be very careful with the advice you consume online. It's not bad advice, but it's incomplete advice. Most people teaching it have never seen beyond dependency themselves. So the best solution they can imagine is to endure long enough, avoid debt, and hope investing saves you. But here's the uncomfortable reality. If your freedom still requires you to work indefinitely, you haven't escaped paycheck to paycheck. You've just delayed the confrontation. And that's why investing alone doesn't end the loop. It builds wealth, yes. It helps you to flip your $10,000 to $20,000 to $100,000. But it does not remove dependency. Only cash flow does. And until dependency is removed, paycheck to paycheck never truly ends. Chapter 5. The part nobody teaches. Cash flow first. This is where the story flips. The people who escape paycheck to paycheck don't start by chasing returns. They start by building cash flow. Cash flow does something investing alone cannot. It gives you breathing room, patience, margin for error, and the ability to wait. Cash flow changes how risk feels. When you have monthly income coming in, even a small amount, you stop making decisions from fear. And this is critical. Cash flow is psychological oxygen. Without it, even good investments become unbearable. But here's the catch. You don't build cash flow only with your own money. Chapter 6. Why the rich use debt and why it doesn't destroy them. Now let's address the taboo. The wealthy don't build cash flow using only their own money. They use leverage. But here's the difference. They don't use debt to consume. They use debt to acquire cash flow assets, let assets repay the debt, and keep the surplus. Your salary is not just income, it's credibility. Banks don't care about motivation. They care about cash flow consistency, repayment behavior, and risk profile. That's how boring returns become powerful. Let's do simple math. If you want $6,000 per month cash flow at 6% return, you need $1.2 million capital. Most people will never save that. Even if they do, it takes decades. So they wait, and inflation eats the finish line. With leverage, it compresses time. It lets you step into the future before you're old enough to be tired. Not by working harder, but by understanding the structure you were never shown. With that, the boring 6% might not be that boring anymore. But remember, it must be used to acquire only cash flow assets. Without cash flow, debt will kill you. With cash flow, debt works for you. Chapter 7. The real reason people fail. Here's the part nobody wants to admit. Most people don't fail because they don't know. They fail because they can't become the person who operates a cash flow system. Because cash flow requires delayed gratification, emotional control, patience without reassurance, and comfort with being different. Most people are trained to be good employees, safe consumers, and socially acceptable. Cash flow requires ownership thinking. Ownership has no permission, no applause, no certainty. So people retreat back to salary safety and call it being responsible. Final truth. The money mirror. Investing didn't fail you. It was never meant to save you from dependency. You were taught to earn more, invest patiently, and wait long enough until you could retire. But nobody taught you how to remove paycheck dependency, build cash flow, use leverage responsibly, and design freedom structurally. If you're still watching, this is what I do. I will show you the map to freedom, but it all depends on you to take action. The mirror never lies. The question is, are you building a cash flow system or just hoping returns will save you one day? Because one keeps you trapped and the other ends paycheck to paycheck forever.